Hey guys, what's going on? This is Paul with Call Academy. Wanted to make this kind of introductory video on a part of the call generation business that is pretty untapped at this point. It offers quite a lot of business opportunities for everyone involved to transport your knowledge of generating calls online and using that skill to be able to charge offline businesses that don't really know about the space and leveraging what you know. So this is more of like an introductory video. We're going to be going pretty in depth through our course with this over time because there is so much opportunity here that you can make money hand over fist with not a ton of effort involved, just due to the fact that businesses value calls so highly. So just to get started in this, the reason why it's so hot, well, it's always been kind of a hot market in general. Any offline business that is around, everybody's trying to get more customers. That's why business groups such as BNI or Rotary or any of those small business groups exist, is to get more business for themselves, via referrals from other local businesses or whatever the case is. So, everybody really wants incoming calls from targeted customers. If you were to go to a lawyer and tell them that you could get them, 10 personal injury calls a month, and they know on their end that they're going to convert 20% of these calls typically, that could be $20, $30, $40,000 for the law firm. So this is just, a quick example, but all these offline businesses that are around all of us in your local community, doesn't even have to be in your local community. If you can offer them something they can't resist, they are definitely going to pay for it. And part of the reason why is, a lot of these business owners offline, they don't understand online marketing in general. So taking what through your marketing endeavors online or through our training platform or whatever, leveraging this with people that don't understand what you know and proving to them that you're an expert in this field, you're going to be able to demand a high dollar for your services. So just a little bit about this and who we want to target. We want to target offline businesses that have quite a high lifetime customer value. A couple reasons for this is, if you were to compare, say, a dentist versus, some local hamburger shop or whatever, some type of small food chain restaurant. A person that buys a burger at a fast food place, they're going to be spending $5 or $10, and that's what their customer value is worth at the time. However, if you talk to a dentist, I know this because I've worked with a bunch of dentists, somebody that is a new client to them, over the lifetime of all their cleanings and fillings and other things they get done at the dentist, like x-rays, a typical new customer coming in could be worth $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 over their lifetime, especially with insurances. So these are the type of people that we really want to target with our call campaigns. People like dentists, that you send them one customer that ends up being a client, and in their eyes they see that you sent them a call and maybe you charge them $100 for a call, but on their end they just converted a $4,000 customer. So it's a no-brainer for them to sign up for your services. So here's a couple, there's a gigantic list that we've come up with for, offline businesses to target, and we can share that list with you, but here's just a couple that have very high lifetime value, or lifetime customer value. So you can see chiropractors, roofing, real estate, retirement housing, tile floor contractors, anything around the wedding niche or vertical. People spend tons of money on, just because it's a wedding day. And around the New York City area, some of these wedding venues, charge $50,000-$60,000 just for one wedding. So for you to potentially send over a bride or a bride's family interested in renting their facility for their wedding day, you're talking pretty high dollar calls that you can charge these people. Mortgage, refinancing, that's always big. Lawyers, doctors, dentists, self-explanatory. Apartment building owners, that's a good one. Rehab facilities, home inspectors, stucco repair. These are just examples to give you guys an idea. Like I said, this is just kind of like an introductory video, but what we can do is just real quick, we'll look up some quick keyword research on one of these. Maybe we'll choose like stucco repair. I haven't actually looked into that in a while. So here we are in the keyword planner, and if we were to just type in stucco repair, and logically when I think of stucco houses, the type of houses that seem to be common, or more so common. I lived in Florida, and the majority of houses in our community, at least, were stucco. And I know for a fact that stucco repair can be quite expensive at times. So if I was to type in stucco repair, and I'll filter this by Florida, so this is only going to pop up with searches in Florida. And let's get an idea of kind of what we're working with. So in general, I'd say that these search volumes are, combined metrics. So this doesn't mean, if you're doing click to call, this doesn't mean that you're, there's potentially 1,000 mobile click to call clicks in there per month. But, you could divide that in half or so around there, and that's pretty much what you're going to be working with as far as click to call goes for. But you can also run desktop and tablet pay-per-call landing pages that'll also drive calls as well, but that's a topic for another discussion. But you can see here, these are all sorted by Florida. Stucco repair, about 1,000. Stucco patch, stucco contractors, stucco crack repair. There's a bunch of terms here. So what I would do after this is, do your appropriate keyword research. I would research some contractors that seem to be big on AdWords, kind of see what they're going for, maybe even call up that contractor, see what their going rates are, and I would take that and start sourcing, these calls to potential stucco contractors in the area that would love to pick up more work. And you can price these in like a per call model or a per month, where you say, hey, for $5,000 a month, you can expect 75 calls, and you work out your math on what you think your CPCs are going to be. Or you can do something like marking up your CPC cost by 10 to 15 times that amount and charge them just per call. So there's a lot of options that we're going to be talking about. This is just kind of like an introductory course. We'll train you guys on how to pitch effectively, as well as how to get clients really easily as well. So with that said, that's it for this kind of introductory video, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Hey everyone, it's Kevin from Call Academy. I focus mainly on the offline clients in terms of what I do day to day. So I thought I'd make a video today on looking at offline clients. And today specifically, we're going to look at keyword strategy for offline clients. Now, with offline clients, it's a very different beast, because the way you approach the campaign is slightly different. Now, in a personal campaign of mine, when it's not an offline client, I might be slightly more aggressive. I might just, put loads of keywords in, wait for some data to come out and see what I can optimize then. But remember that the new piece that's introduced with an offline client is the client himself, and they need to be comfortable. So we're going to go through a few things to make sure we are managing the client properly, as well as managing the campaign properly at the same time. So we're going to go through quickly the 3 different match types with a Google campaign, just so we can just to make sure we're on the same page, where I bring up all the different types throughout the video. And then we're going to talk about managing an offline client and what it takes to make sure they are happy, as well as the campaign is doing well. Then I'm going to go through the 3 strategies I focus on when it comes to keywords for offline clients. Now, obviously, some of them might be things you've seen before. I'll just recover them, and then there's a couple things that are new. And then very, very briefly, we'll talk about the negotiation of the raw deal. So Ken, my business partner, and also a coach in Call Academy, managed to negotiate his way to a $35 raw call deal. And, that is, that's impressive, obviously, because it's raw call, isn't it? So we'll get to that in a second. So getting straight into it, looking at the different match styles. Obviously, we know there's broad match, phrase match, and exact match. Just to quickly go over it, what we've got here is a broad match where anything can come up. So if we've got a keyword that, for example, says, looking at this, the keyword on broad match, right? So the keyword here is cheap life insurance. And obviously with a broad match, anything can come up, synonyms, similar words, different type of things can come up with that broad match, because it's kind of like putting a wide net out there. So for example, you can get inexpensive life insurance, or you can get inexpensive car insurance. And it's happened, it's happened on a campaign that we're running now. So we've recently just won a life insurance client. And we're obviously helping them generate life insurance leads. And some of the calls that we've been listening to, they've been getting car insurance from our broad words. And it's a dangerous game sometimes with broad keywords, because you're just putting a net out there, and very, random stuff can come up. And obviously the key there is how quickly you can make certain words and phrases negative. And we'll go over that in a second. Moving on, phrase match. Obviously it's about the phrase itself. So let's just say that this is no longer broad, and then this is a phrase keyword. Or actually, let's say that the phrase is just life insurance, right? It means that no matter what happens, life insurance, the phrase, will always come up in that situation. So you'll never have to worry about things like car insurance, because life insurance is the phrase. So you might get inexpensive life insurance, long-term life insurance, infinite life insurance, things like that. But the life insurance phrase will always be there. And that's why phrase match is always a main focus for offline clients. And I'll get to that in a second when we touch up on the strategies. And exact match is, I guess it's exactly what it says on the tin, isn't it? So it's exact match. If this was an exact match keyword, then literally life insurance would have to be typed in for our ad to be there. As you can imagine, that being such a general exact match, it would be quite expensive, wouldn't it? So yeah, they're the 3 match types. Just wanted to cover that very quickly before we get on to anything else. So before we get into strategies, let's quickly talk about what it takes to manage an offline client. Now, with an offline client, they have their emotions, and they, especially if it's someone you haven't worked with, you are on trial basically, and you need to prove to them that you can generate good quality leads, and you don't have a long window to do that. As we all know, when you start a campaign, the quality is not very good, right? It's pretty crappy at the beginning. So you need to make sure that it gets up quite quickly. And so an example is, we launched a campaign a couple of weeks ago, and obviously we, as aggressive as we are sometimes, we put some broad matches in, and they were getting car insurance calls for life insurance. It's no good. and it's no good for credibility. So you need to make sure that actually, when it comes to offline clients, you need to, at the start of the campaign, what I'd always recommend is starting with phrase match and starting with exact match only. Yeah. That way you could, even if you just break even at the beginning, even if you're maybe even losing a bit of money, it's not a problem, because the objective at the beginning is to make sure they're comfortable with the leads that you're generating, and you can build that relationship, because over time you can do things like negotiate better rates or negotiate better deals in the long run, or even better partnerships. And so that relationship is so important. Stick with those two, phrase match, and gather some data and see what you can optimize. And that's what I'd always do at the start. However, there is something you can do with broad match, which we'll cover in a second, to make sure you're getting some broad stuff in as well. So, finally, to start off by getting that great quality in, the first thing you need to focus on is targeting instructions. So, with a client, you need to pretty much interrogate them on what they're looking for, the exact type of person. Now, this is the difference. When you are, when you get a campaign through an affiliate network, which is great, obviously, which we do as well, of course, they've done this part for you. They'll tell you that, it's a 2-minute call quality and it's targeting these locations. But obviously with an offline client, you're doing that yourself. So you need to be quite, detailed in your approach of getting those right instructions. When we first started with an offline client, maybe 2 years ago, we, didn't get the targeting quite right, and then we would get calls every other day with updates on targeting. And at that point, we thought, well, it's their fault. They should have told us. But no, that's not true. It's your fault. You need to sit them down, understand exactly what they want, what quality looks like to them, and spend that time at the beginning so you can get quality right at the beginning. This, a piece of advice will be the difference between, running your campaign for 2 weeks and them calling you to tell you that they decided that they don't want to do it anymore, or them saying this is great, like, let's continue. It's about understanding customer needs, typical business 101. So, moving on very quickly, let's get on to the keyword strategy. So, obviously, these are the 3 strategies. The keyword, negative keyword focus is something you've probably seen before, but I'll quickly go over it again. And so let's see what that's about. So looking at this is an old campaign that I used to test when I was running solar, a couple months ago. So let's just have a quick look at what this looks like. So negative keywords, right? So if you go to keywords, you go to negative keywords, you can see all the keywords I've already got, right? So, let's go to search terms and have a look at what we've got. So, when you click on search terms, you can see what people are actually searching in Google to flag up your ad. And you can see there's a lot of stuff here. Now, it's all about cancelling out the crap, basically. And if you just look around here, look, for example, can you see L0CIL? L0CIL is a brand. And this goes back to that conversation about targeting, right? You need to make sure you ask them what they really want. And this person in particular didn't want branded keywords, so you have to exclude them. But otherwise, they'll get calls saying, hey, is this L0CIL? Can you do XYZ for me? And then obviously they're not L0CIL. That's a problem for them. Secondly, there's other crap. So can you see that? L0CIL billing department. Forget about the fact that it says L0CIL for a second. Notice that it says billing, right? And another one there, billing. Can you see? Billing, that's a very dangerous word, because billing means that they've already got solar panels, right? So they don't need a new solar panel if they're asking for the billing department for a solar panel. So that's a very bad keyword. So what I'd do is I'd negative that whole thing. So I'll go to negative and I'll add that as a negative keyword. But also the word billing is quite dangerous in general. So I'll add billing as well as a broad, billing as a phrase, and billing as a negative, as an exact match as well. Now, obviously I'd use the wrapper tool to do this more effectively. I won't really type it manually like that. Let me quickly just show you. Obviously it's a keyword wrapper. You just put the keyword in there, wrap, and it'll give you all of them there, and you just copy it in and then you're done, really. So that's that. that aspect of it. Broad match modifier. Now this is where you use broad matches effectively to get the result that you're looking for, right? So for this one, let's go back to the Word document. Let's say we've got life insurance again. Sorry, that's just my Skype making sounds. Ignore that. So we've got life insurance, and that is a broad match keyword. But if you want to say, again, we say cheap life insurance, we put a plus in front of the life, and what that will do, that will keep the word life there. And now life will always be in that sentence, and cheap and insurance will be broad. That might change to inexpensive, but life insurance will be there. And that will mitigate, you know, like things like car insurance coming up and things like that. So that's how you use the modifier. Now, if you do plus there again, then now life insurance will stay like a phrase, but the front word might change. So cheap might change to inexpensive, but life insurance will always be there like it's a phrase. But please understand, if you put a plus in front of everything, it's the same as a phrase match, and that's completely useless, right? So moving on, the final part is about phrase match winning bids, right? So if you look at this image here, I'll just enlarge it for you so you can see, right? You got phrase match here. And this is, by the way, this is a snapshot taken from my AdWords editor, right? All my keywords at the moment, can you see, is £8, right? And here, this column here shows first page bid. This is what you need to bid, so you are at the front page, right? Can you see some of the phrase work? Can you see how these numbers are all different? So what I would do is go through this list of keywords, and for, say, this phrase match, these are, by the way, really good keywords. So phrase match, £8, I'd increase it to this, like 11.18, so I can be on the front page. Again, this, I'll change this to 11.69, so I can be on the front page. And obviously with these, I'll reduce these because I'm betting $8, and to be on the first page, all it is £1, right? So I said dollars, I meant pounds. This campaign's in GBP. So I kind of go through the list of phrase matches and actually almost all the keywords and make sure that I'm on the first page for all of them, particularly phrase matches, right? And that's how it is. So quickly talking about we're talking about negotiating this. It's very important that the best way to negotiate raw core deal is to be able to show evidence. Now, if you're first starting off at the very, very beginning, you won't be able to show evidence of the success you've achieved in previous campaigns. But once you get to the point where you've got 1, 2, 3 campaigns that are working well, even if they are not offline campaigns, even if they're through affiliate networks, then you're good. Then you can use that, go into the meeting and show them the deals, and that's how you start negotiating. Don't worry, we're going to put out a full-blown video on negotiating contracts with offline clients at a later date. And that's basically it. Just to kind of summarize, the strategy for keywords is make sure you got the negative list there. Make sure you use broad modifiers, which is the plus in front of the specific word you want to keep, and make sure you're winning the bids for, phrase match keywords. Thank you.